everybody. Welcome to the Green Architects Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Chris Briley.
And I'm your host, Phil Kaplan. Good to see you back, Chris.
Good to see you back, as always. Yeah. We're on our nice monthly schedule. It's feeling good.
It is. And if we left you with a cliffhanger last time, Chris and I were head-to-head on
competing for a project.
In a couple of interviews. Chris won.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you. They don't all go that way, people. I'm getting used to losing to Phil, but this feels pretty good. And also,
you earned it.
Yeah.
You were tired.
Well, I told her it was pro bono. I'd do it for free.
That's
how you get those.
That makes sense.
That's how you get the jobs, kid. No. She was very.
We're talking about resilience today.
Yes,
it's not a particularly resilient way to run a business.
No, but are you feeling resilient? You know, to this abuse that I give you every once in a while?
No, I'm a little beaten down, but
you know what's going to make you feel better?
Yes, a cocktail.
Let's do this.
Cheers.
It's what everyone wants to.
So we have a funny story about the cocktail. This is called a storm chaser.
Ooh. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Phil, do you want to tell us?
Oh,
that's good.
It's really good.
That's good.
It's warm and toasty.
It's got a good spice level to it without being in your face. Actually, I'm just going to do another sip. You go ahead. Tell us what's.
So one of the funniest things about this cocktail is that Chris and I were talking about it. Like, can we get a theme? So don't get used to this. You're not always going to have a themed cocktail with everyone.
Right. But we did with this one. Phil came up with a brilliant cocktail all by himself.
Me and ChatGPT.
No.
Yes.
God damn it, no. You had... Listen. I, for one, welcome our AI overlords. Here's to you guys.
Yeah, they're listening.
I don't know why we have AI doing all the fun stuff. Phil, tell us about this drink that you perfected.
Right.
Phil Kaplan.
That's right. It's about
perfected.
Yeah, this is what I came up with.
Oh my God.
A drink, architecture related, based on resilience and durability, which is today's topic.
Yeah.
It's called the Stormproof.
Which is aptly named. So what's in this, Phil? You've got 1.5 ounces of...
You sound like you're doing a computer voice.
Yeah. Phil,
an ounce and a half of dark rum.
Okay.
Which represents depth and strength, like stormy waters.
This is where the ChatGPT...
Half ounce of ginger liqueur.
Yeah.
Oh,
rum.
Yeah. Pilar, I love this. I'm not a sponsor, but it's my favorite rum.
Is that? Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm less familiar with Pilar.
You've been looking at this ginger liqueur fancy bottle for years.
Yeah.
Now's your chance to go buy one.
Go get it.
I bought that.
Yeah. Also good for dark and stormies.
Domaine de Canton. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Oh, he has more bottles.
Everything's good.
Everything's fine.
So you need a half ounce of that, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. Ginger liqueur, zingy, like lightning in the clouds.
Okay.
3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. Sharp and cleansing, like rain.
Oh, God.
1/4 ounce of falernum. So velvet falernum. It's like this Caribbean liqueur, which is kind of sweet and almost almondy.
Never had it in my life.
To tropical storms and complexity.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And a couple shakes of black walnut bitters.
Which is good stuff.
Yes. Earthiness.
Earthiness. That's
groundedness. Good. Endurance, perhaps.
Very good.
Yeah. Garnish with lime wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps a little chunk of crystallized ginger. And
you'd be cooler than us. We don't have the crystallized ginger. If you do, you're cooler than us and better prepared. Cheers to you.
Make yourself a storm chaser. You will enjoy. This is Chris's first of the evening. Hey.
Yes.
Tell me a story.
I want to tell you.
Inspired
to
do this episode by something you had seen.
Okay. So do you remember the Palisades fire? Very tragic. Lots of, I don't want to downplay the terror of, something that happens to you like a climatological disaster. That was a hard word to say thanks. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You use that in Scrabble.
Yeah.
Beat your brother. Anyway.
You'd be cheating if you used it as too many letters. But keep going.
Okay. So there was a Twitter post, or maybe it was X at the time. I don't know. Who cares? But during the Palisades fire, there was a house that an architect, Greg Chasen, it was his building. He was like, I want to go see how my building fared. Sure enough, standing amongst ruin, this one seemingly just fine house, standing in this neighborhood of everything's fine. And he posted it and it went viral. And you've probably seen it if you're an architect. It's probably, or especially if you're a passive house architect, you probably saw this because, the headline, passive house, is a secret to, beating the Palisades fire. And everyone's like, well, how did this one house survive where all the others are just totaled? And it's a shocking picture. And we'll ask our friends at Motif to do the video to put it up on the screen there for you for a little bit.
Yeah.
Pause for that.
Yeah.
But not everyone is watching this. You might be listening in your car or whatever. But anyway, it's, I'll describe the scene. There's a house in absolute ash and ruin adjacent to it. There's a car, right in the adjacent driveway, just the carcass of a car that's been charred,
Yeah, terrifying.
And the house, looks a little dark in places or whatever. And it's just like, holy crap, how did this stay here? And all the other houses in the background are just like, they're gone. So, of course, his career has probably changed, I imagine, but he's, he got, so let's just talk about why. Why did this house, a passive house, survive where the others did not?
Yeah. And just, Jen, before we go into the details, this is something that touches us deeply. I think as architects, you see something like this, and you're like, wait, we can change the world a little bit.
Right.
We can do these buildings that survive this sort of thing. That's in our control. We have grandiose ideas just in general and huge egos. So as architects, we like to think we can do important
How does
things.
this help my ego?
There's a picture of it. There's a picture of it.
Yeah.
Like there's proof. Like we can make a difference. It's just really inspiring.
Right.
Really spectacular.
And so this is an example of resilience. And we're going to talk about the difference between resilience and durability. But resilience is like preparing for a maybe unlikely event.
Right, an extreme event.
An extreme event. Yeah. It could be weather, it could be climate, could be...
Put it on the list.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. It could be like other people. It could be civic unrest.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is climate related.
They are.
Right.
Yeah.
There's fires, there's earthquakes.
Floods. Mudslides. Hurricanes.
Tree falls on your house.
Just random power outages.
Yeah. A lot of power outages.
Ice storms, tornadoes, and it's all, based on where you are and where you live. But anyway, let's go back to the Palisades fire.
Godzilla.
And Godzilla.
Yeah.
Or Mothra even.
Yeah, Mothra.
That's some dangerous stuff. Are you prepared? Are you?
To design and build a house.
Design a
that
building to
withstands
withstand?
Mothra?
Yeah. That's some...
I'm not sure.
Near my. So the Palisades fire and this house. So there are reasons why it survived. One being, first, acknowledge in the photo that the house on the other side was demolished before this house, or before this photo was taken. Amongst the ruin, it looks like the two adjacent houses, burned up in the fire. Well, one wasn't there. So let's just set that aside for a second. But even still, seeing that burning carcass, I mean, you can tell it is devastation all around. Yeah. And if I'm sure if we were in the Palisades fire, we'd say, yeah, one house next to you, big deal. This is, the air is set on fire and drifting across. It's not a joking matter. But it's made of wood. You'll think, oh, sure, it's concrete or it's sided in some magic material. No, actually, it's sided in wood. There's like wood vertical, siding on it. And one of the key things is the venting, because it's a passive house. Mm-hmm. Two things about the venting and the air circulation is it's air sealed. So we always say, you lose 25% of your heat, through the envelope. But when that usually happens when your building's under pressure. Mm-hmm. Well, what's happening to the air when it's rapidly heating? You get a massive pressure change, and it's going inward.
That's right.
And
you're sucked in. So you can suck in embers.
Yeah, your house, in a fire is sucking in as much of that exterior air as it possibly can through all the cracks and crevices. And here's a house that's sealed up.
Completely airtight. None of those holes.
Right.
Nothing can get in.
So it's not bringing in those embers. And where those embers do come in, they're not being fueled with, this constant jet of air that you have in other houses. So that's probably one of the biggest things. Also, it has that ERV, which is also balancing the air as all this depressurization is happening. And so it's a minimum number of vents going in and out, and dryer vents and things with dampers and all that. So the fact that you don't have these openings to start that fire is probably the primary thing that saved it.
Yeah.
Second is it's one of those neat modern houses, and this is kind of contrary to a durability thing that we're going to talk about later.
And we didn't really define durability.
Do you want
So
to do that now?
we talked about resilience, but durability is sort of things that last for a long time, things that are built to withstand. And it doesn't necessarily mean extreme weather. It means the everyday things that we have to deal with.
Right.
These are like good drainage,
Right.
good
Snow.
overhangs.
Yeah. Oh, rain screens.
Rain screens. That's right. So understand the differential pressure. Designing buildings that can dry out.
Yeah. All right. This is a tough topic. Yes.
Choking me up.
Yeah. Right. So back to the Palisades house.
That's
that
right.
Survived, the passive house that survived. Another thing is, it was more modern and didn't have these eaves and overhangs and nooks and crannies that other houses. It was a very simple form and didn't have the eaves and overhangs. So when you're trying to start a fire, where do you light it? You light it on the most delicate, fragile, sticking out point. You don't go right up to the middle of the log and go, here we go. It'll take forever. In fact, it's really hard to catch.
Right.
So if you're in a fire-prone region, all these overhangs and things that we're talking about all the time for durability, they may not be a good idea for a resiliency standpoint.
That's right. Right. So there's a lot of things as architects we've got to hold in our heads, right? There's some conflicting ideas of what's resilient, what's durable, what's good for the planet.
Yeah. So you have to be able to,
architecting is hard.
Yeah. You have to hold these separate ideas in your head that could be conflicting and both true for what you want to do. And it's a balancing act.
All right. Is there any more about your story before?
Oh, yeah. So the windows, they were all tempered, all of them.
Yeah.
Because it was thought about, in a fire, if they're tempered, they're gonna withstand.
Things blow in, you're gonna know where you're not gonna get killed by shards.
Yeah.
Tempered glass will fall apart into little tiny pieces.
Right. Like the side windows of your car. You hit it, kind of
just
explodes.
shatters.
But those can also withstand heat better before they shatter. So than your regular glass. And it was all aluminum frames and, tempered glass. The landscape.
The whole thing was tempered. All
the glass windows. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Via the internet.
Yeah.
Not Chat GPT, although I'm sure it knows, but regular old Google. Dumb.
It's listening to you now.
Right. That's right. I forgot.
Nice.
Right.
Nice
Right.
from here on out.
Right. I'm looking forward to retiring and giving Chat GPT my business. That's not true.
What else is this house?
Landscaping was a huge thing. So
Site.
there's a little site wall, little concrete wall. It's about 2.5 feet high or whatever. That kind of is a perimeter thing. That, and the landscaping they have is not big dry trees or anything like that, but little shrubs and a lot of xeriscaping, as they say out west. That and the other house was gone.
That was xeriscaping.
Maybe it is. What do I know? I'm a cold climate architect in zone 6. Isn't that zero escaping? Anyway, so that's an example. I'm sorry, I just hit my mic. That's an example of resiliency right there. So here is an architect who was planning for fire conditions, and there's a house that's withstanding it. So if you know your climate, you know what you're prone to. So if out west, it could be earthquakes. You better know how, the big one's coming at some point. Is your house going to be experiencing an earthquake at some time? Maybe not in 100 years, but maybe it is. And so, luckily there's a lot of protections and things for that.
And we've got severe storms here. Kind of all over the place.
Right.
So these are things where you have to know your DP ratings. of your windows to understand
Design pressure. Yep.
design pressure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
To figure what your windows can withstand, and if you have to put additional locks on your windows to make sure they don't get blown in with these storms.
Right.
Know what they can resist.
Right. And if you're in, let's say, Florida, North Carolina, something like that, you're probably thinking hurricanes are your big thing.
That's right.
Also flooding. And also, if you're coastal, you're concerning yourself with tidal flooding.
Right. And we have a lot of that here in Maine.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, like we know sea levels are rising. So, look at your FEMA flood maps and then like amp that up by like 20%. Like,
Yeah.
think of worst case scenarios. Things are going to dramatically change.
Yeah.
And what we have to know here when we design things for flood zones, like how are things going to dry out? You assume water is going to get in your house, and you might have to understand the materials that are not going to get ruined when that happens.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you'll see a lot of new buildings down there being built on stilts, or they're built so that the garage is all on the first floor. And if that floods, there's nothing in them, like they can handle the flood. They're resilient to a flood of a certain height that they're planning on.
Yeah.
And then if they do get wet, can they dry out? And are the materials that hold them together, are they buried? Is it like, I gotta replace absolutely everything? Or is it like, it's totally waterproof and made from inorganic materials up to a certain height so that that you don't have to replace it all and it's easily clean.
There's an interesting little case study that maybe we'll share at some point, that Bryburn and Kaplan Thompson are designing houses next to each other on Peaks Island here in Maine. Yeah. And they're right on the water, and ours is a little bit closer to the water than yours.
So it'll go first.
It'll go first, but we're removing we showed the client designs where we effectively remove that lower level.
Yeah.
Because we're concerned about what's
Good
going
for
on.
you.
Putting that on stilts. I'm not sure if it's going to last, but if it doesn't last, then we have to think about things like materials that dry out and a lot more durable. So
right. And I grew up in Marietta, Ohio, which is on the Ohio River, and the Muskingum River that flood annually and more often and more severely as time goes by. And so you have a very similar situation, only, Texas, we had the very tragic, camp where, flash floods took the lives of, the girls camping there. And
that's right.
It was really awful. It was absolutely awful.
Yeah.
You think of a flash flood. Who thinks of a flash flood? That was the thing. It's like, well, it's in a floodplain. It's cabins in a floodplain, so the biggest thing to remember is
take this shit seriously.
Take this shit seriously because 100 years because of climate change, that 100-year storm is now a 5-year storm. That's the difference. Yeah. That we're seeing out there now as designers, and we need to take it seriously.
Right. And so one of the hardest parts is, like Chris said, we have to hold multiple things in our heads at the same time. A lot of times, not only does resilience conflict with durability and the couple points that you made, but with the things that the clients want, for instance. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you can't have overhangs. I know you want a traditional house, but you have to have something that looks a little bit more contemporary. Or you can't have large glass because we're worried about that blowing in and doing bad shit to your house.
Right. Yeah, and so
or I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah.
No.
So here's another one that we just started talking about, and we said save it for the podcast. Like if I think about the most resilient or the most durable and resilient house,
right? What
if you built a house of all concrete?
Well, Phil, that's one rock solid, durable house. A tree can fall on that, nothing's gonna happen. But if I'm concerned about the planet,
right,
I am not building this thing all out of concrete.
No, it's like the opposite of the things that we've told you to do.
Right. So I have to weigh these things. I have to balance them. So like those overhangs. Well, luckily with overhangs, if you are in a fire-prone place, chances are more likely that you're not as prone to the damage that you have from all the rain and weather. You don't have, it's not as wet of an environment. That's not 100% true, but it kind of leans true that direction. Whereas here in the Northeast, in Maine, we're kind of lucky in that, we have our forest fires, but they're nowhere near what happens out west. Like take Canada. Canada just up north is there. They've been doing their battles with forest fires, and we are in dry conditions right now. So it gets me thinking. We're not used to having, drought or this amount of dryness, this high level of fire danger that we usually do.
Yeah. So I mean, are there rules of thumb? Like we've talked about.
You have rules of thumb? No,
right?
Oh, good. This podcast is so much better. Phil, don't worry. Phil has rules of thumb.
Let's see if I can make them up.
Let's see.
Well, we talk a lot about simplicity, right?
Sure.
Like houses with fewer corners
Yeah.
have fewer chances to leak. Houses with bigger overhangs, fewer chances that water is going to get in. You're protecting the siding.
Right.
You're protecting the elements a little bit. Fewer windows. Sure.
There's clients love fewer windows.
No. Right. So, you want to think about it. You want to think about the fewer transitions.
Yes.
Maybe you batch your windows together, make them larger instead of a lot of moles in between them.
Right.
Always make a house that dries out. We have some basic building science rules.
Yeah.
That we have to follow.
And that last one works for resiliency and durability. That if it can dry out, that's going to help its durability. But also, if there is a catastrophe from an event, that's also going to help you if it can dry out.
That's right. And we're talking about flooding, and we're also talking about within the walls, like wetting within the walls, knowing where your dew point is, and making sure you have, in terms of building science, a smart assembly that knows you can dry out.
Right. We're all over the place right now in our conversation. Yeah. But let's focus maybe on durability, and just because I think we'll do both. We'll kind of like it's sort of like resiliency is this big macro, this big giant thing that could maybe happen to you and your house, but then there's durability that's always happening to your house, and you always want your house to be durable no matter what.
So let me come back to resiliency.
And then we'll go and we'll just do this constant expansion contraction.
I want to big. I want to step back.
We're gonna bring him in. We're gonna bring him in. So Phil, durability.
Yeah.
If I were to ask you, what's the most important thing to get right for durability? In your buildings, climate zone 6, humid-ish.
Yeah,
climate.
well, the things that we just mentioned. Get your flashings right.
Yeah.
Get drainage around the house down.
I'm hearing bulk really moisture.
Well. Moisture, thank you.
The bulk water.
Yeah.
Take care of that first.
That's right. Know where the water's going to go, shed it off.
Shed it away.
Make sure the shape of your roof is really smart. We deal with snow here too. Snow builds up on things that are not good shapes. Like a flat roof next to a vertical surface is not great.
Yeah.
Especially if it faces north. So we have to make sure that the forms of our houses don't hold snow or anything that turns into moisture.
Yeah.
We get ice dams out here, so we have to make sure we have really good ventilation.
Yeah.
Also, we have venting, right? Like sometimes we have really good venting that we make sure that
we do. And so like the venting of your roof and your rain screen, like we are huge proponents of that. And so if you're just joining us, you're just dipping your toes into the building science world, rain screen's a great entry point for you. It's like, wood, a building that's allowed to dry is going to last so much longer than a building that can't or has troubles drying. And one of the easiest things to do to make it so the outside skin of your house, especially if it's made of something porous like wood, think of clapboard siding or shingles, is to allow air behind it as well as in front of it, so they can always dry out. There are buildings that are 3,000 years old in Japan that are wood. They're fine because they're always allowed to dry out. They can dry out very easily. There's other reasons too, when people are passionate about preserving them, so that helps. But anyway, roofs are the same way. And of course, if you remember back to the beginning of this podcast, if you don't have those vents, you don't have those intrusion points. But I think that house in particular had a vented rain screen wood cladding. I think so. I really should have researched that prior to this, but it looks like it in the photos. So, but I'm not sure the roof.
All right. What about
Good.
durable sidings?
Yeah, everyone, we've talked about this before in the podcast. Everyone wants a siding that's
No maintenance.
zero
right?
maintenance.
Right.
I want zero maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
but I also don't want it to look like some plastic cheap thing.
Right. So, but we've got this this acetylated wood product or a torrefied wood product
Yeah.
that we're using a lot recently.
Which one? The
There's
Thermory?
Thermory, there's Luna Wood, there's a few
Cambia,
different
yeah.
product names for that.
Yeah. That's,
And it looks beautiful.
yeah.
And it's rot resistant,
Yeah.
not being cedar or cypress or anything that's harder to get in some cases. And it does great.
Yeah.
But what else that does, Chris?
What, catches on fire?
That's really quickly. Yes, it does.
Yeah. So, like any wood siding would, that would, catch on fire pretty easily. So again, you're holding these two ideas.
Right.
Am I protecting myself from that fire really adjacent to the house? Or am I protecting myself from the durability?
Right. So these are durable products.
Or am I saving the planet and reducing my carbon footprint? Tomato, potato.
So much for those rules of thumb.
Yeah.
No, really. I mean, it's kind of true. Like, you really have to be focused on whatever the climate is and really understand your microclimate where you are.
And the risks, because it's kind of up to you. Like, if you know you're in a floodplain, or you know you're adjacent to a floodplain, or you know you're prone to coastal rising or hurricanes or tornadoes, or mudslides, or fill in the blank with whatever, you need to be prepared, and you need to think it through and then balance it with your durability. We're not going to have the answers for which is which. We know kind of what we do here in the Northeast. Like, for me, if I'm on the coast, that wind and that storm could be mighty. If I'm inland, I know that ice storms are a real thing in Maine. Like, you could have a power outage for weeks because the power lines are all down because the ice, is an inverted system.
What's the longest you've lost power for?
Me personally, I think 4 days.
Yeah,
which is not much.
I think we did 4. I think we did 4 days. I almost said 5.
Yeah, but I know tons of people, like you did too, right? You know tons of people who are like, I'm on week 3 of this thing.
Yeah,
and it's like,
it happened with the ice storm.
Yeah, so a lot of people,
you got to figure it out.
Yeah. So if you've got one of these, energy efficient, resilient houses, that ice storm, it's no big deal. Like, for some people, that ice storm happens and you start the clock until my pipes are going to freeze because the house is going to get below freezing without heat. And because my heat needs the power to go, and my generator for some reason is not working, or I don't have one, which is the case for a lot of people, and that type of thing. So if you're in a more resilient house, it'll never freeze, even in our climate.
Right. This is what happens if you get a good designer and a good builder to put your house together, that you have a lot of glass facing south. And once in 4 days, that sun's going to come out.
It'll warm you back up.
Right. It'll warm you right back up because you're going to get passive solar. It's also, if you have solar panels, then you'll be able to recharge your batteries, ideally.
Yeah.
Sometimes we
still have generators
here.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes they're propane.
Belt, suspenders, and clean underwear.
That's right.
That's right.
Mom.
That's right. That's John Straub.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My
mom quotes him all the time.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
He's been hanging out with my mom. Anyway.
Just crossed the line.
Actually, it would be pretty funny to come home and there's John Straub, like, having tea with my mom.
I think they'd get along great.
Actually, they probably would.
Yeah.
He gets along with everybody, says my mom. So. Oh, wow, we're off topic. So, what about the more existential things, Phil?
It's like we talk about resiliency, right?
Yeah.
But like, we designed single family homes for people with the money to afford a new home. Or what about affordable housing? Like, being able to make more resilient housing.
That's a good,
right?
Yeah.
How do we ensure that? How do we talk about resilience without talking about equity?
Right.
For everyone. So what? A couple people survive. You have a great time in that bunker, right? You go and protect yourself, and when you come out, you might be the only person.
You're the only human. Yeah.
Around,
You get to go back in your bunker and just.
That's no way to live.
That's no way to live.
Really, like, how do we create a resilient society so we watch out for each other and we start with our buildings?
Dang. And you're thinking. I know you're thinking to yourself. I'm an architect. What can I do?
Yeah. Well, we just laid it out for you, right? But
Yeah.
But think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Our firms have to be resilient, right? In order to keep doing the good work that we do. Firms that
we work on that all the time. You and I. I mean, our own firms. Like it's always like about survival. How are we going to weather this next economic dip?
That's right.
How deep is this dip going to go?
Yeah.
Will we survive that? How do we keep how do we feed the machine? How do we keep it going?
And it's kind of related, isn't it?
It's
like you have to think ahead. You have to think big picture, and not just what's in front of you. You have to plan about some worst case scenarios, and it can get a little dark.
Yeah, it just did, and stormy.
Yeah, and
see what I did there?
Thank you. That was beautiful.
I made it later because we were going a little too deep.
Can I top you off?
Yeah, sure. Right on camera. Yeah. So, anyway.
Don't do that at home. I just screwed up the balance of that drink.
That's okay.
But
it'll be just fine. So, and also, but to your point about multifamily housing and affordable housing, and I think this is finally caught on, like there's all these like affordable housing entities or whatever that a lot of times are like, how cheap can we build this thing?
That's right.
Make it as cheap as we can. And while they're doing that, they're just shaving the durability off of it. And they're shaving the economics off of the operation of it. But what's one of the worst things you could do is hand over to someone struggling financially this huge burden of maintenance and long-term, upkeep. I mean, and operation. What the biggest thing you could do for them is to hand them, the most durable, lowest maintenance, most survivable building possible. It's going to save them tons of money, and it's an upfront investment that usually these entities that are funding these buildings, these big projects, they can build in and afford, whereas the person that they're building it for can't. So don't cheap out with the insulation and the techniques, and don't go like, all that green crap is for those fancy houses. We need to do this cheap vinyl.
Right. So think about do you have an affordable housing entity or state that will actually incentivize some of these benefits that says if you get to passive house, you will have a better chance of getting funded.
Right.
If you have a more durable building that you've designed, you'll have a better chance of getting funding for these buildings. And that is happening in certain places, thankfully. A lot more.
Yeah.
And we have, I'll do a call out for one of our affordable housing groups that we're working with a lot, is Avesta. Todd Rothstein it's been a huge advocate on the construction side.
Sure. Who
is sort of his eyes open to passive house, and he's been going around to passive house conferences and building science conferences as someone who represents affordable housing and stating the case that affordable housing is actually more affordable with passive house.
Sure.
Higher performance.
Absolutely.
So, we need more people like Todd to get that word out.
Right.
So.
Well, good. That was a good shout out for affordable housing.
People doing the right thing, resiliency for our society and our world. And, it's all good.
And a resilient society is going to be much more resilient in the future anyway for all these things.
Yeah,
more
good.
rum. Yeah. Yeah. What else do you want to cover, buddy?
I want to talk a little bit about a book that was really influential to me a number of years ago.
Okay.
When we did a project, the Bright Built Barn, many years back in 2006.
You mean the Bright Built Barn, not Bright Built the company.
Not Bright Built, not our company.
Or the subsequent barns, but
that's right, the original Bright Built Barn.
Sure.
Sort of the net zero. Our first net zero home that we had designed. And we worked alongside with Bensonwood and had some really great talks with the builder, and specifically Ted Benson, who is just a real mover in the industry and a friend of mine and a brilliant dude. And this is pre-Bright Built Home and pre-Unity that they founded.
Yeah. It's 2006,
But he introduced me to Stuart Brand's book, How Buildings Learn, which is really, really a wonderful, fascinating thing. But it talks about basically how buildings change over time. And to have a truly resilient building, you need to be able to understand that there are things about a building that are more more permanent, and then things that really are ready to kind of go in a shorter timeline. So he has, I had to write this down because I thought it was really interesting, that they have 6 distinct, he calls them shearing layers, which start with the things that shear slowest to fastest. Site is the most stable. Your site stays the same. And then the building structure.
Mm-hmm.
And then the skin, which is the siding.
Mm-hmm.
The services.
And this is like rated in like the most difficult to change.
That's right, most difficult to change.
You can't change where you are.
That's right.
But and changing the structure means changing the entire building. So that's really difficult.
Right.
All right. Now what's next?
Site structure, skin.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Yep.
Services.
Yeah.
Space plan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which means your
right.
plan.
You can.
Your interior walls.
Yeah. You can change things around.
Start with an S.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Good for him. Yeah.
And stuff, which is like your furniture. As Chris is saying, if you turn up the house upside down, when you shake it,
the things that shake out.
That's right. That's the stuff. You go buy more furniture.
Easy to change.
That's pretty. But the things that we really have to pay attention to are the things that are really hard to change. And the rest of the stuff, we have to think about how they're disentangled, how we can remove them individually. And if you think about the stuff, that's easy. The space plan, can we arrange our walls, our partitions, so they don't have a lot of stuff in them?
Mm-hmm.
Right now we have light switches that are remote.
Yeah.
Do we have to have wires in all our walls?
Interesting.
We did in the Bright Built barn.
Oh, really?
We had
in 2006.
We had wires in the baseboard.
Nice.
That's right. And the baseboard was removable.
Cutting edge.
Yeah. And we found somebody who was making a remote light switch then. We could only afford one at the time, but we did it. Yeah. And now it's like you go to Home Depot and you can buy one for $12.
Right.
But at that point it was revolutionary.
Sure.
Right. So, but then you start backing in some of the more interesting things like services. Like we know we know our systems are going to get better over time.
Right.
Right now, we have ERVs, energy recovery ventilators, and the heat pumps. We know the heat pumps are getting better.
Yeah.
We have our Lunos now, which is a simpler way to do ventilation.
Yeah.
It's just for an example.
Right.
It's fewer holes in the wall, and things can change out easier and faster. So how do we make our systems so they're not stuck in the walls and the ceiling? So we have to bang down those walls to replace them with the new stuff that we know is going to be out in 20 years.
That is very good. We were just talking about that earlier today.
Yeah.
About these, we were talking about drywall. Drywall is designed to go in and be done. And if something's behind it, too bad. If you want to get to it, you're going to have to bust it open or cut it out and all that.
That's right.
Why do we do that? Why don't we have something that looks great in its modular form that you can just say, oh, I need to access this. Why don't we plan it so like all the electrical runs or all the line set is run in very predictable spots that you can remove and put back and change? No problem.
We can. Some people do.
Well, that sounds resilient, Phil.
Let's start thinking about some of these things again.
Yeah.
Right.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And then skin, we talked about skin, but the things,
right.
You just be prepared to change your siding over time.
That's interesting.
But I think the lesson from this is the services to me. Because those are the things that I think are changing the fastest.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Energy and how important energy is to us has changed over the last 20 years dramatically with the cost of electricity.
Yeah, the number of houses that we've had to this used to have a steam boiler that's been converted to a water boiler, and now we want to convert it to a heat pump system, a hydronic system. That doesn't really exist yet, so we're just going to do heat pumps and rip out all this stuff, and etc. Yeah. And and that's just projects we're working on in our lifetime, in our little sandwich of in our moment on this planet, where some of these other buildings, like they've stood this way, the structure of the houses hasn't changed in 200 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but we've been putting furnaces and hot air in these buildings, for a long time.
Yeah.
Our radiators, taking those out replacing it was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just had to like, all right, you're going to redo the siding in your bathroom, Chris, or the flooring in your bathroom.
The siding in my bathroom? How'd you know I have siding in my bathroom?
Because you're a freak like that. I knew you might.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cedar.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But like you want to put down new tile or even just like some new marmoleum.
Yeah.
You got to unhook that radiator. It's a pain in the butt. You know?
Yeah.
If it was much simpler, you wouldn't have that problem. And here we have a little bit more of like conflicts with us being architects and what we're trying to do to serve our clients.
Yeah.
Like, easiest thing to remove is a 1-to-1 ductless heat pump.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's a glycol loop. It's pretty straightforward to install one of those things and remove it, as opposed to, say, a ducted system.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
But it ain't pretty.
Yeah, either way, it's not pretty. But hypothetically, could the line set stay there and you upgrade the mechanics on the outside? And we kind of don't know. I'm sure someone's answering that right now in their head or screaming at their radio in their car radio, where that's playing the podcast at them because they know the answer. But it's like we don't really know what's coming next for that, 1-to-1, ductless heat pump.
Well, we know the refrigerants are changing, right? Just for instance, they've already just started to cycle out.
Yeah, but can I just change these? The inside part and the outside part, keep the line set,
right?
Yeah, you just looked at me like I don't know.
Oh.
So if you know the answer to this question,
interesting.
Please write to us an email at thearchitectslounge@gmail.com. That's right.
I think Ben Bogey's going to have something to say.
Yeah, Ben.
Can't wait.
I know. By the way, we're going to do the walk of shame after this. We're for our basements thing. After it aired, immediately Ben's like, a few notes, and then said a couple things. We're like, oh, we need a segment where we can, apologize to everybody and make our stupid corrections for our boring, misstated things. Whatever. Thanks, Ben.
Ben, you're just taking us way too seriously.
Yeah.
What are you expecting?
Speaking of taking it seriously, are you ready for like a 6-digit idea or something with levity, or did you want to talk about durability more, or are you good?
No, yeah.
Because we've kind of covered things like like capillary breaks at top of your wall. We've talked about waterproofing and all that jazz. There's a lot of things. We're kind of hitting the general umbrella of resiliency and the importance of durability and all that. So to reiterate why it's important. Is because climate change is coming fast. And we're doing our best to reduce that, empowering ourselves as designers and builders to handle that, speccing low carbon products and durable buildings and trying to make structures that last as long as possible. Well said.
Yeah. We're doing our best.
Yeah. Did you want to share your 6-digit idea?
Yeah, it's kind of like a crazy half-formed idea.
You said it was crazy, and I haven't really fully hit me with it again. What did you say? It was a motor?
The outboard motor.
The outboard motor?
The outboard motor.
All right. Help.
Like the simplest way to build a building and really like develop our sites so we're not tearing up the earth in a dramatic way is to have this beautiful super insulated box and place it gently on the land on a few helical piers, right? Mm-hmm. And then bring the services to it. Are you
talking about like an emergency situation or like a resiliency, or is it like possible. A retrofit kind of a thing?
It's possible. Like right now, I want you to just think about it in the broadest sense possible.
All right.
The lowest impact thing that you could have a simple structure that you built affordably. Maybe you built it yourself.
Okay.
That's all you could afford to do.
Maybe it's a van.
Yeah, and then you have this. Well, you could, but I'm saying you have a structure that's a little bit bigger than that.
Okay.
Let's say you drive up a van. Let's run with the van idea. And this van has PV on the roof.
Yeah.
That unfolds.
Yeah.
And unfolds again, so you can get, say 4 kW of PV. You can drive it so it faces south, wherever you want it. It has the best exposure.
Yeah.
And that's where your little structure is built. But then, say the backside of this structure opens up, and let's say it's a pod that has electricity, like it's got batteries that's being fed by the PV. Let's say it's water collection. So you generate water, and then you have a filtration system, and the back wall of this van opens up to your double doors in your little structure You drive right up to it, and within this is a plumbed wall with waste pipes that are connected to this somehow. And maybe there's a composting toilet in the back. I haven't figured out the toilet thing yet. Okay. Yeah, I know there's incinerating toilets, but that might be the hardest part of it.
Oh yeah, we're not. But
right.
So this is a 6-ish ideas, and someone else please take this and run with
and so
it.
This is all about like things change over time. Like, all right, there's a better model.
I
this
love
is a preliminary thing, but now you pull it out, you lease this thing, and then a better model pulls up to your structure.
I love the idea and the genesis idea of this. Like I have a shitty house that can't withstand crap for resiliency or anything like that, but I get this module that I can plug in the water, plug in the sewer, plug in the electricity. All of a sudden, you can shut off the grid for a little bit, and I'm okay on, or it picks up. It's your little life support for however long you need.
That's right. What if you could lease this thing for 10 years to come in and plug in into your house, or somebody comes in, plugs the thing, removes the old thing, and then in 10 years, you drive that thing away and the new one comes in.
It's a neat idea. Makes the alcohol taste really good. I love it.
I think the alcohol partly caused the idea.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, you've done it. You've spent another hour with Phil and Chris at the Green Architects Lounge.
That was very resilient of you.
That was very resilient. You are really great. So please follow, subscribe, do all the social media things that you do, and
email us at the Green
Architects Lounge at gmail.com. If it's a good idea, if it's a bad idea, if it's mildly amusing, we'll probably read it aloud to other people to hear. So if you liked us, remember this is the Green Architects Lounge. If you didn't like us, this has been
somebody else.
Somebody. So how I built this with Guy Ross. I could have been better at that. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.